Hi folks, this is Tristan from NoiseGate here, taking a first look at Arturo's new SQ80V, which is an emulation of the Ensoniq SQ80 from circa 1987. So this is the main front panel interface. You've got access to a lot of the common parameters, and there's a bit of an overview of the voice structure. We can see the rest of the instrument if we go over to the synthesis page. We can see we have up to 16 voices of polyphony. Each voice is up to 3 oscillators, 1 filter, 4 envelopes, and 3 LFOs, plus a global amplifier, global tuning, and this sort of mixer modulation source, which we'll get into a bit later on. There's a lot of really interesting stuff, especially here in the envelope section. But starting from the basics, the SQ80 was a hybrid synth, so it's almost completely digital, so digital oscillators, but it has an analog filter. So it's a really interesting combination. We've got a ton of different waveforms here. There are some more analog style traditional waveforms. Some sound a bit more like wavetable oscillators. And then we have your cheesy lo-fi 80s samples in there. Plenty of good stuff there. So this range of waveforms combined with the analog filter make for a surprisingly versatile instrument. So it's capable of sounding nice and analog and warm, but can also go that cheesy 80s lo-fi direction if you wanted to. All right, let's just go back to the kind of default preset. And back on the main page, let's just have a listen. Oh, let's turn that down a little bit. Okay, that's a single sawtooth wave from oscillator 1. Nothing to get too excited about. Let's turn on a few more oscillators. All right, let's add a bit of detuning. Hey, that's actually pretty nice. That sounds surprisingly lush. It doesn't sound at all like a kind of cheesy lo-fi 80s sampler. So that's cool. We can go even further by turning on unison here. We can add a few more unison multipliers and increase the detuning amount. So you can go pretty crazy here if you want to. Let's back that off and just go back to this sawtooth sound. And let's add a few cheesy 80s lo-fi sample elements to it. And here's a sort of bell sample. Let's take that up an octave. Alright, that's getting there. Let's change oscillator 3 to something a bit cheesier as well. There we go, voice 1. Let's just listen to that by itself. Okay, so pretty cheesy sample. But in context with the other oscillators, you get some pretty cool timbres. Let's back off the filter to kind of warm it up a little bit. Alright, let's get in there. Let's move over to the synthesis page and add a bit of modulation. So first of all, let's go over to the global tuning and let's just add LFO 1 as the modulation source. Add a bit of instability. It's a bit too much. Nice, just adds a little bit of movement. And let's go down to the envelope section. So envelope 4 is the one attached to the amplifier, I believe. And let's just slow down that attack time. Alright, that's pretty cool. Okay, an interesting thing you can do with the attack here is you can apply this velocity attack parameter. This lets you control the attack with the velocity of the keyboard. So if we turn this right up, let's slow down that attack a bit more. And now if we play softly, we get that nice slow attack. If you play harder though, you get a faster attack. Alright, so you can add a lot of expression just by altering your velocity. Nice. All right, let's add a bit of movement to that filter there. It's sounding a bit stagnant. So let's use envelope 1 to modulate the filter's cutoff. Envelope 1, slower attack. Let's increase that modulation depth. Might be a bit too slow. Yeah, that's cool. Let's let that settle on a kind of lower, darker sound. Alright, nice. That's sounding pretty interesting. Alright, now let's go back to the amplifier envelope and add a bit of release, just to slow down that release stage. That sounds a bit more natural. There's this interesting second release stage you can apply, which almost sounds like a delay. It adds this sort of secondary release stage to the sound, which was meant to emulate a reverb back before we had the DSP to do a proper onboard digital reverb, but this is what it sounds like. It's cool. It's a really interesting, kind of cheesy, antiquated sound, but cool. Okay, moving along. Let's go to this mixer section. This is a really interesting modulation source where you can take two different modulation sources. Let's try LFO2 and LFO3, and you can blend them together. So let's make LFO2 be nice and slow, and then let's really speed up LFO3. And we can see the mixed amount here, so let's add a bit of multiplication. All right, it looks cool. Let's see how that sounds there. Let's apply that also to the filters cutoff as a sort of secondary modulation source. And let's have a listen. All right, we're hearing the slower LFO2 there. Whoops, I had the wrong LFO selected. Now let's increase the multiplication amount to bring in that faster, more fluttery LFO. So that's cool, I can blend between them with that amount knob there. Another way I can do it is I can go down to our fast LFO3 here, bring down its amplitude, and then use Aftertouch to control that. So I can use Aftertouch to bring in that faster, more fluttery LFO. Sounds like this. Let's just increase the depth to make it a bit more noticeable there. That's a pretty interesting sound I got going on there. All right, finally, let's have a look at the effects page. So you can see we have room for 4 effects processors, so lots of fun we can have here, a lot more than you could do on the original synth. So lots to choose from here. Let's throw in a Juno chorus, why not? Let's turn that on. Nice. Okay, this has been a quick first look at Arturio's new SQ80V. Thanks very much for watching. Leave any questions or comments down below, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon.